Very delighted that you're on the call. I'm sure we'll have a couple of other folks drop in as we get started, but for the sake of time, you are here on time, so I want to make sure that we respect your timeline and go ahead and get started. So, welcome to Tips and Tools for Birth and Postpartum with Yasmin and Louise. I am a maternal health consultant, and that is my umbrella title for all the things that that I do, which I'm a full spectrum doula, which means that I work with families everywhere from preconception all the way through postpartum, but also encompassing if someone has an abortion or a miscarriage or infant loss, all of that is under that umbrella as a full spectrum doula. I'm also an international board certified lactation consultant. I'm a mother, which is also how I got into birth work. And I also teach childbirth preparation classes and after birth restorative postpartum care. So those are all my titles and all my things. And I've been a birth worker for, this is my 18th year. My son is turning 19, and that was my introduction. I had a great birth. I heard all the crazy birth stories, and I had a beautiful home birth, and I felt like I wanted to share and help other women and other families with their process and their journey of pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and breastfeeding. So we're going to be talking about birth and postpartum tips and tools, like the top things that you want to be aware of to prepare either yourself or your clients if you're a birth professional. Okay, Louise?
Hi, thanks, Yasmin. So lovely hearing your story, even though I've heard it many times. So I am Louise, and similar to Yasmin, although more recently, my daughter is almost 3 now in June. I also just had a wonderful home birth experience here in South Africa with a lovely midwife and doula. And since then, I've just been passionate about sharing about birth, not necessarily only home birth, but just sharing all the information that I learned along the way and that enabled me to have a good birth experience. I feel like a lot of information does not get spoken about or shared. And so that's why Yasmin and I enjoy hosting these sorts of talks. And then on top of that, I am a doTERRA wellness advocate. So doTERRA is an essential oil company, and we will be touching on that as well today, and the importance of, the purity of essential oils and the versatility of the oils. So look forward to sharing more with you. We're going to get straight into it because we want to keep it kind of short. And
one more thing.
Yes.
I would be remiss if I don't mention I have 2 children, because my son will probably hear me talking and he would be upset if I don't mention that. I have a son, but my firstborn was my introduction to this work. And I also am a doTERRA wellness advocate along with Louise. So we're a great combination, a great team covering all of this. So let's go ahead and get started. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself. If you're not able to come on camera, that's okay. But if you are able to come on camera, it would be lovely to see your face and tell us a little bit about yourself, like why you decided to join today's call, if you're expecting or pregnant, or if you're a birth professional, and what piqued your interest. Tabula? Okay, she said she can't come on because of where she's in. Kabula, I'm a mother of a 1-year-old. I lost the thing. Mother of a 1-year-old. Okay, all right, awesome. Welcome. And then Fatma just joined as well. So Fatma, welcome. We are actually doing introductions. So if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, your name, whether you're pregnant or recently had a baby, and what piqued your interest to join the call today.
If you can't unmute, you're welcome to drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
So for those
Okay.
who don't know, we're actually presenting. So I'm based in South Africa, and Yasmin is in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and that's where we met. Actually, I lived there for a year, and that's where Yasmin and I met. So lovely to see or hear from all of you in Tanzania.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm not sure if Fatma is able to do either right now, so we can go ahead and get started. Can you open up the can you put it in, what is it called? Presentation. Yeah.
Is that working?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So we are going to be talking starting with birth. So, as I am a birth and postpartum doula, as I mentioned, and so some of the things that I see often are a lot of big emotions, right? Our hormones are kind of going through a lot of changes as we body build, right? And grow these babies that are inside of our bodies. And so, as moms get closer to the birth, sometimes we get anxious about how is this going to go? Is this going to work? Am I going to be able to do it? What is it going to be like? And, you know, it's one of those things like you have to experience it to really understand and like get it, right? And so, one thing I like to focus on in my childbirth education classes is oxytocin and how to increase your oxytocin levels. Yeah, how to increase your oxytocin levels. So, things that are helpful, right? Oxytocin is the gateway. It is a gate opener, right, for labor and birth. Oxytocin is a hormone that we all have in our bodies that is released at various points throughout our lifetime. The peaks of oxytocin are during intercourse, during labor and birth, and during breastfeeding, right? At varying degrees. But this is what gets labor started. This is a hormone that we know as the love hormone, the bonding hormone. This is, you release oxytocin when you eat good food, when you are with your partner, holding hands, cuddled or snuggled, watching a movie, listening to good music. So all throughout the day and throughout our lives, we're releasing oxytocin. But during birth, we really want to reach those peaks, right? So things you can do in labor to increase oxytocin is touch. So your partner touching you, hugging you, wiping your face, giving kisses, all of those kind of things help to increase oxytocin, as well as the movement, sitting on the ball, being in the water, anything that's relaxing and comforting and consoling. Breath work is also really a big piece because research has shown that when we have deep, long breaths, inhalations, and even longer exhalations, it helps to reduce our cortisol levels. And cortisol is a stress hormone. So during labor, we really want to have low cortisol or lower so that we can be in what's called the parasympathetic nervous system status, which is rest and digest. We are relaxing the mind so that the body can relax. Okay, so doing breath work or meditations or having prayer, music, or any kind of calming music, whatever you think of that is relaxing for you, that's what sounds, smells, people you want to have during your labor and birth. Affirmations. So some moms will have affirmation cards. I actually have those as well that I give to my doula clients to help them remind themselves of their body's ability and capacity to give birth, right? And then the calm environment. And that's one of the ways that the oils come into play, because you can have a diffuser with these oils that are listed here that Louise is going to talk about. Movement is so important. I would say out of everything, oxytocin, increasing oxytocin, and movement is, and then the calming mind. Those are like the top three birth tools, techniques that are going to be essential, because when your body is moving, It helps to relax your mind and keeps your energy flowing, and it actually helps to work your baby down. Okay, so your baby is high in the uterus, and as you're walking, as you're lunging, as you're sitting on the ball, it's helping your contractions to work your baby down. But it also keeps the mind calm so that you're not lying in bed just thinking about all of the sensations that you may be feeling. So that is those are my top ones. Let me see. Oh, one second. Movements can be simple things. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could literally be you sitting on the ball and just going in little circles on a birth ball or back and forth. It could be having on your slow music or favorite music and you just slow dancing with your partner, making sure your hips are swaying back and forth. Simple stretches. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Louise?
Okay, so onto the oils, and I feel like it's so complementary how the oil can work with calming the mind, with just, yeah, getting your mindset into the right space. Um, a lovely oil nearing birth, if you are experiencing those anxious feelings, is adaptive. It's called the calming blend. And adaptive was made for those transitions when you're going through big transitions. So really a lovely oil. It's got wild orange in it, which is really uplifting. And so it's both calming and uplifting. Another lovely oil that I love, the grounding blend, is called Balance. So it's more of the tree oils, like spruce. So it smells like you're in a forest. It's really lovely, and it's actually already diluted, that one. So you can use it straight from the bottle. I love to rub it on the soles of my feet, and they actually, there's science behind it saying that the, the concept of grounding, where you put your feet on the ground, on the earth, on grass, to ground yourself. If you're unable to do that, this Balance oil is great for that. So it has a similar effect within your body that grounding does. So really an incredible oil. And then the lavender, which I'm sure many people know. Lavender is one of my favorites. Very calming. And I'll speak to or explain how the oils work with the brain. And then I've just put wild orange there, which is a citrus oil. So something to remember about citrus oils is that they are photosensitive. So don't put them in areas where you're going to go that will see the sun. But you can put them on your pulse points or the back of your neck if your hair is down. It's lovely and uplifting and both calming, and a lovely oil as well for postpartum, which we'll get into. Okay, then yeah, Yasmin has a bit to speak about here. Just checking if Yasmin's there.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was admitting somebody.
Oh, sure.
Welcome. So, so many things popping up on my screen. Sorry. Okay, so birth in regards to labor pain. So we all know it can be an intense experience to be in labor. However, your body is really intelligent. And when you are having a physiologic birth, meaning an unmedicated birth, vaginal birth, or preparing for that, your body gives you breaks. So you'll have a contraction and you'll feel that wave and it'll peak and then it'll come down. One fun fact that I really love is when I found out that the longest natural contraction is only 90 seconds. So you can do anything for 90 seconds. Yes, it might go on for hours, but you'll have a peak. And then right around 90 seconds, it'll be over. And then you'll have a break. right? Sometimes the break is 1 minute, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's as long as 30 minutes, especially in early labor. So you have time to gather yourself, right? And to manage the pain with, like, for example, hot water. So if your water has not broken, you can get in the bathtub and take a bath. I would encourage maybe later in labor, like the active labor, where the contractions are really rhythmic. But you can also get in earlier if you so choose. If you just need to reduce some of the thoughts and feelings and anxiety and you need something to help relax you, water is the key. Like water, 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 water. Like you can't do it enough, okay? Because the heat and the comfort of water just really relaxes the body. So you see this mom, she's in the shower. You can get in the shower. You can stand in the shower. You can sit in a chair in the shower just to calm your mind and the body. And back to movement, the movement not just helps to calm the mind and give you something to do and to think about while you're breathing. Movement, again, helps the baby work down. It helps your body to actually start to expand and open up the way. And movement helps so that labor is actually faster. So if you're just lying in bed, or you're in one position, it's harder for your body to do the work that it needs to do. Upright movement especially is very helpful, but also hands and knees, like the cat-cow position in yoga, just some deep breaths and doing that. So all of these things really tie in together. It's not like, oh, I'm just only going to do deep breathing, right? You can do deep breathing while you're sitting on your ball having movement. You can do deep breathing in the shower with warm water. That's going to help you to calm your mind so that your body can do the work. Because as physical as birth is, it is also very mental. Meaning, if we have positive images or thoughts or affirmations or stories, right, or experiences, it can absolutely help our labor to go a bit faster and for us to think of things that we can do. So for me as a doula, that's something that I help moms to do because really you're not really wanting to think so much. You really want to do things that are kind of mindless, which is where like the ball comes in or just moving. And so I suggest a lot of different positions for moms to get in with or without her partner or with me to help her body to feel less pain and for the labor to go a bit faster. And again, all of this ties in together. There's one doctor, he said, if what did he say? Like if a doula was a drug, like everybody would need a doula. Go for moms to not have a doula because you get so much support, but also ways to manage the pain. Okay. And the oils can support that process too. So it doesn't have to be one or the other, is my point.
Great, thanks, Yasmin. Yeah, so I thought to share. I used hypnobirthing. It was a Christian hypnobirthing course and app. It was about like 8 tracks, so very only a few tracks, but I listened to them every night before I went to sleep, and sometimes I would just end up falling asleep. I wasn't actually consciously doing it, but I did it every single night, and it really helped prepare my mind. I think that's what helped me be so present throughout my labors. And then something else Yasmin touched on was really getting out of the mind. Stress makes our body contract and constrict, and that is what causes more pain. So we really need to try relax in those moments where the pain is worse, right? So the oils are great for that, and it links back to the previous slide on the anxious feelings. You can really use your oils nicely here to help relax your mind and relax your body. And then for the physical pain, there are lovely oils. So deep blue and lavender is from our top 10 oils. Deep blue is lovely. It's meant for aches and pains. So some women even use it during their menstrual cycle, on the uterus area or lower abdomen, on your lower back. Claricalm is our hormonal blend. There's clary sage in there, which is a great birth oil. You wouldn't be using clary sage, as far as I know, Yasmin, you can confirm, when you're not quite ready for birth yet, as it can, I guess, activate labor. However, I do know when your body is ready to go into labor, then it will, clary sage can just support that. And yeah, so I just wanted to touch on that. But Claricalm is lovely for pain as well. And then lavender and copaiba together, even just inhaling. So you could have it in your diffuser, or pop it in your hands and cup your hand. Really great, and there's research behind it for pain relief. One of our doTERRA ladies recently had surgery on her neck, and she used lavender and copaiba really successfully for pain relief. And then geranium is just a lovely birth and postpartum oil. And then aroma touch is a great one. It's actually the massage blend, but great for like circulation and flow, and lovely oils in there for pain as well.
So I just want to touch on the clary sage. So yes, it's a great oil for birth, to help the labor come on if the mom is, at 40 weeks or beyond, and she needs a little kind of jump start. Clary sage is really great for that, but also, as Louise mentioned, for the menstrual cycle, for bloating, balancing hormone levels, and relieving stress. So these all tie into and together. And in regards to energy, because we know labor can sometimes be a little bit longer than anticipated. I think right now, the research shows that an average birth is about 16 hours for a new mother, 16 to 24 hours, which can be a long time, right? And so having things to help with energy, having proper snacks. So my doula clients, I typically recommend for them to front load their meals, meaning eat whatever whenever they can or feel like eating during early labor. Because labor is called labor because it's labor. It is work. Your body is doing work to get your baby down. And so you need energy. You need sustenance. And so having your meals in early labor, meaning early labor is when your contractions may be kind of sporadic. They're usually a little bit, or the time between your contraction is longer, and the contractions are shorter. As labor progresses, the contractions get a little bit longer, but remember, natural contractions are only about 90 seconds, and the space between the contraction gets a little bit shorter, okay? So you wanna have things like, in the early labor, I would say no greasy, oily, fried foods. Nothing really heavy and hard to digest, because your body is trying to get your baby out and needs the energy for that versus trying to digest a lot of food. So you want things that are nutritionally dense, but are easy to digest. Soups, broths, teas, especially like red raspberry tea, is really great for toning the uterus, even in pregnancy, because the uterus is a big muscle, right? And so it has to contract and relax. That's what the contractions are. Contracting to squeeze the baby down, and then when it's time to have a rest, it should be able to relax. Red raspberry leaf tea is really amazing in supporting the body and doing that. but also toning the body or toning the uterus during pregnancy and then during birth, helping to activate those contractions. And also in the postpartum, there's a role as well. So red raspberry leaf tea, bone broths, soups, teas, simple things, yogurt and granola, boiled egg. There's these little like power balls that some people make, things that you can just pop in as you progress through labor that are going to give you energy, even like peanut butter and a banana, simple things like that. And then hydration is really, really important. A lot of moms end up getting IV fluids. There's a place, everybody doesn't need IV fluids. As a doula and as a mom, I've never had IV fluids. If you're hydrating through the early phases of labor, meaning my clients, for me, have been drinking. Louise, do you mind muting just for now?
Sorry, I'm struggling because my presentation is on my laptop.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay. But I encourage my moms to drink every time they have a contraction, and they should be emptying their bladder every hour from the onset of labor so that they can make sure they're hydrated. They can make sure that their bladder is not full, because that can actually be an issue in the birth. So emptying the bladder every hour, drinking, not sips, not these cute little sips, like drinking for every contraction. And those fluids can be the best. Coconut water is like number one. And I think most of us are in Tanzania and have access to that very easily. You can also make your own electrolyte drink. You can go on Pinterest or Google or whatever to see how to make an electrolyte drink, but it's basically like a lemonade without a sweetener. So just water, a lime, a little bit of salt. If you want a sweetener, you can do like a little drop of honey just to kind of give you some boost of energy. You can have juices that are going to give you energy, but I would highly encourage you also to dilute the juice with a bit of water. I would stay away from any caffeine. In a lot of hospitals, they will give you hot tea, which is caffeinated. It may or may not have sugar, but I would stay away from it anyway. Ginger tea is a great replacement, or again, the red raspberry leaf tea. The reason why you want to stay away from the caffeine is because it's going to shoot your energy up. You're going to get an energy boost, and then it's going to drop you really quick. And that drop, that crash, is going to feel really crappy. Just like when little kids eat a bunch of candy and they're all hyped up and they're all like, yay, yay, yay. And then later they're cranky and need to go to bed early. It does the same thing in labor, but that's not what you want to have. You want to have something that's going to give you kind of long energy and protein rich, high nutritional dense, but easy digestible foods are going to be the go-to. Let me check here. Let's see. Nettles is another great tea to have during labor. And, you know, we're just doing little snippets here. I do want to just let you guys know that there is a childbirth preparation class that goes into a deep dive about all of the things that we are talking about here, as far as, you know, big emotions with anxiety, labor pain management, as well as energy and partner support, and questions to be in communication with your provider.
Okay, so I just wanted to touch on, yeah, I think you mentioned ginger tea. It would also be lovely for nausea, right? And
Yes.
so an oil that I used for my birth that really gave me the energy boost. I was just feeling rather, you know, I had very low energy. And I fortunately had my peppermint oil. And yeah, I was able to tell my husband, please bring me my peppermint oil. I sniffed it and it did the job. I was able to continue. And I think I did that twice during my active labor or active labor and during pushing. So that was really great and with the peppermint oil as well, which I had in mind if I had been nauseous. Fortunately, I wasn't, but I'd heard other ladies had that experience. It was suggested to me to put a drop of peppermint oil in a bucket, and when you feel like you're feeling nauseous, then just take a sniff of the oil, and then it should hopefully help you keep it in and not lose all your food and fluids. And then another lovely oil for energy is the Meta Power blend, which is our metabolic blend. Let me just go to the next slide. Okay, and then I'm just going to touch on why doTERRA, what makes doTERRA different, and the safety, because often during pregnancy and birth and for babies, people will tell you don't use essential oils, they are not safe. What makes doTERRA different is that they test their oils rigorously, and so they can ensure or assure that they are 100% natural and 100% safe. So they've got a testing protocol that, or testing standard, because the essential oil industry does not have, very regulated standards. And so doTERRA has created their own standards called Certified Pure Tested Grade, CPTG. And you can go onto a website. So many of their testings are third-party testings. You can go onto the website called source2you.com. And I just wanted to show you so this is just a lavender oil, for example. At the bottom, don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's the expiry date, and there's a code there that you can go put on or type in on the source2you.com website, and you can go see the results of the test down on this bottle. So they don't only batch test, they've literally tested the oils in this bottle. So you can go see the results, the constituents that are in here and the results of the test. Another thing that doTERRA ensures, because of their testing, they can ensure that this lavender and the constituents and the ratios of the constituents, the components, are as they appear in nature. And that's very important, because if they're not as it appears in nature, then our body recognizes it as a toxin, and it can actually do damage, like, disrupt hormones, for example. And so doTERRA ensures that the constituents, the compounds as a whole, this lavender is as it appears in nature, and so our body can recognize it as that. And then for consistency, it's very important. So also, due to their testing, they can ensure that this bottle of lavender is the same as the next bottle of lavender. So if you treat or support yourself with this bottle of lavender, you'll be able to do the same thing with the next bottle of lavender. And I don't know if any other essential oil company can ensure that. And because of this consistency, doTERRA is used by very well recognized institutions such as the Johns Hopkins University for clinical trials, and various other institutions as well. I'm just going through quite quickly because I don't want to take too much time. Apologies for my background noise with my daughter. And then, so they're pure and potent, and they are effective. So essential oils permeate the cell membrane. So if you are dealing with a virus or a bacteria, for example, the essential oil is able to permeate the cell membrane and go and deal with whatever your body is dealing with. It brings the body into balance, and it supports the body to do what it is able to do. So instead of many allopathic medications that suppress symptoms, essential oils support the body to actually do what it's capable of doing. So we are capable of fighting a virus, for example. So instead of suppressing the body's ability to do that, the essential oil kind of triggers or activates the pathways, or the part of the body that can fight the virus, and it says, go do your job. So yeah, just incredible. And then also with how effective Sorry, I've got my daughter. My daughter is trying to brush my hair. So how quickly do essential oils work? They take 22 seconds for the essential oil molecules to reach the brain. So especially if someone is feeling anxious, or if your toddler is having a meltdown, just inhaling the oil, within 22 seconds, you should feel a difference. Then within 2 minutes, the essential oil reaches your bloodstream, and then it takes 20 minutes for the oil to have reached every cell in your body. So just really incredible how effectively they work. Another important part is the sourcing. So doTERRA sources, or they have over 170 essential oils sourced from 45 different countries, and a lot of them being third world countries. They source the plants from where they are grown indigenously, or from the indigenous origins. And this is so important because it means the climate is right and the soil is right for those therapeutic benefits. If they can't source it from where they are indigenously grown, then they choose a climate that is similar to that of where it is indigenously grown. And then they have another element called co-impact sourcing. So doTERRA is very much about sustainability in the sense of the environment as well as the people. And so they really work with the farmers to have a profitable business. And what's different about doTERRA is that they actually work with the farmers, and they work throughout the process of, you know, from the farmer to the distillation and extraction to the bottling, and then to selling the oils. This is what makes them different, and why you need to buy directly from doTERRA and not from just a shop anywhere, because so they don't have any middleman that is doing the bottling, which is where a lot of the impurities or contamination can happen. So in the industry, there are a lot of essential oils that aren't pure, right? And it's because even if the bottle says organic, for example, it's referring to the farming method. Then a middleman buys that and does the extraction and distillation process. Then possibly another company does the bottling and blending, and then the essential oil company buys it from them. And to make money, these middlemen often dilute the oil, or they substitute the pure oil for synthetic constituents. And it's very easy to make, for example, linalool, which is a constituent of lavender, or menthol, for example, which is in peppermint. Very easy to synthetically make those. And so this is what is happening in the essential oil industry, which is why doTERRA has created a very different, let's say, supply chain, where they are involved throughout, and testing is done after the oil is actually, you know, has been created and blended, to ensure that the impurities aren't there, and to ensure things like heavy metals, for example, aren't there, which you will only pick up if the proper tests are done and run for a certain amount of time. Yeah, and then there are many stories on their impact, their sourcing. So tea tree, for example, they source it from Kenya and Australia. I think Australia is where it is originally grown, and the Kenyan climate is similar. And so they've helped rural farmers in Kenya start farming tea tree and making it a profitable business for them. And then what's lovely about tea tree is that no part of the tree is wasted. So incredible. Their sustainability initiatives are really great, and something I love, as I have a sustainable development background. And then lastly, how to use essential oils. So there are three ways. There's aromatically, to inhale, there's topically on your skin, and there's internally. So aromatically, when we inhale through our nose, we've got receptors in our nose, and it forms part of the olfactory system. So you've got the olfactory receptors in your nose that links to the olfactory bulb in your brain. And so the oils go through there, and that's how the oils can, within 22 seconds, reach the brain. It then speaks to your limbic system in your brain, which speaks to your nervous system, which is, all our nerves go from the brain throughout the body, wrap around each organ, and end in your hands and your feet. And so it's just, incredible how these oils can speak directly to parts of our brain, which can then affect our nervous system. That's just explained very briefly. And then, so you can either diffuse the oil in a diffuser or just put them in your hands and inhale. Or, for example, if you're feeling congestion, if you're sick, you could put it in hot water and like steam, have a proper steam. And then topically, so our skin is our largest organ, and whatever we put on our skin goes into, our skin absorbs what we put onto it. And so these oils get absorbed into the bloodstream. And you'd apply topically when you want a localized benefit, right? So, for example, when you're feeling those menstrual cramps, you'd apply it over the uterus area. We also use reflex points. So, for example, the reflex points of the uterus are on the two sides of your ankle, the inside and the outside. You've got the uterus and the ovary reflex points there. What else? If you're feeling like you've got a cough, inhaling our Breathe blend is great, and then also applying it to the chest area for that localized benefit. Just a note that we do dilute the oils because they are pure. So you use a carrier oil, and that just helps. You actually don't need to use a lot of the essential oil. They last really long. And we apply to the soles of our feet and to our spine often, because the soles of the feet are where our pores are really open, and it's also the where our neurons end. And so it's great absorption there, and then as well as to the spine, straight into the spinal column, and gets carried into the bloodstream there. And so, for example, when we're feeling sick, then we'd apply our flute blend to the bottom of the feet and to the spine. Or if you want to feel grounded, even for emotional support, you can apply to your body in that way, and inhaling is lovely for emotional support. And then lastly, on internal use, so often you'll see an essential oil saying this is not safe for internal use. And why is that? It's because the company cannot guarantee their purity, and it's because they just don't do the testing. And so what's different is that doTERRA does the testing, and they can ensure that theirs are pure, and therefore we can take them internally. So you take them internally for example, lemon is great for a detox, or if you're struggling with tummy bugs, you could take the oils internally. If you want to support, your liver, your kidney. And ways to take them is in water or in veggie caps with extra virgin olive oil. Under your tongue is great. That's lovely. If you've got like an upset stomach, you can take benzo, or for calming as well. The copaiba blend is lovely under the tongue. And then often what we do with our frankincense, I'm not going to do it now, but we put it on, a drop on our thumb and press it to the roof of our palate. I do that if I have a headache. It's quick access to the brain, but it's also really grounding. Okay, so that's on to Yasmin again.
Okay, so That was really great, Louise. Yeah, I just want to say I just did my little my frankincense drop under my tongue this morning as I was getting ready for today because it does just, I don't know, it's uplifting, but it's also helpful for me to center and just kind of feel like, okay, I know what I'm doing, and moving forward. So on to postpartum. Um, Pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding, postpartum, early parenting, late parenting, or parenting throughout, right? The life cycle of you and your child or children um, presents a lot of big transitions, right? And we've talked about the emotions and also the physical changes. And so everything that we're sharing is about helping your body to get back into balance, and also establish the new normal, right? Because the body changes, the brain actually shifts and changes during pregnancy so that the mother is more aligned with nurturing and focusing on her baby. So a lot of times in pregnancy, we are forgetful, we're tired. Our brain is actually changing, so that you can be more focused on your baby. So less linear thinking and more kind of a nurturing type of processing or thinking. Um, and when you're dealing with a new little baby, you're also, dealing with the new self, right? You're a whole new person on all levels, right? That's a whole nother session. But in the postpartum period, your rest is going to help you to feel more competent, more functional, um, and more happy about your process as a parent, as a new mother. And yes, rest can be fleeting. I'm not saying that you're going to get like 8 hours straight rest. Okay. That is unrealistic. But you can still get about 6 to 8 hours of rest in a 24-hour period. It's just going to be broken up a bit. So everyone talks about, oh, sleeping when your baby sleeps. And you're like, when? There's so much stuff to do. Um, but we know that you need to heal. And so resting is also part of your healing. And when we don't rest properly, especially in the first 40 days, that shows up 20 to 40 years later, when we're in menopause, as women. So you want to make sure that you're getting into the horizontal. This is my favorite phrase. If you've ever had a lactation consultation or any kind of workshop or class with me, that is my favorite thing. Get into the horizontal. When your baby is breastfeeding or you're done with the feeding, just go lie down. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. Just lie down. You might find that you are more tired than you thought you were, and you might actually fall asleep, which is great. If there's a bit of anxiety, or a lot of thoughts, or oh my gosh, is the baby okay? I thought the baby made a sound. You absolutely can use these oils that we mentioned, about helping to calm the mind, balance or adaptive or lavender. But also you can use these oils if you're getting those massages. So I know culturally, a lot of cultures have, daily or weekly or several times a week, someone is coming to do massages on that mom, which is wonderful and great because it can help to detox the lymphatic system. Because after you have your baby, you need to keep your body warm. You need to have and I know we're in a warm climate in Tanzania, but it's essential to keep your body warm inside and outside. So I'll talk about the nourishing meals in a second, but that all comes together with how well you're going to be able to rest. When you have good circulation from eating properly and staying warm, then your healing is optimal. Okay. If you think about water, water is always flowing, right? If you see a river or a stream and it's flowing, a lot of times it will look clear. But when the water it starts to stagnate and slow down and pool in one section, then we end up noticing, there's all kind of other bacteria and things growing there because it's supposed to flow. It's the same for your blood. You have a circulatory system to keep the blood moving. And if it's moving at an optimal level, you won't have situations of swelling or high blood pressure in pregnancy or in the postpartum period. So making sure that you're in the horizontal, which is going to help a little bit with blood pressure, but also with circulation. Because as women, we have a gravitational pull every month when we have our cycle. And so gravity is pulling on us down, which makes it harder for the blood to circulate back up to the top. But getting into the horizontal, you bring a bit of balance, okay? The massages are great. Also, using the oils with the massage, just lying down and not thinking about anything. A lot of people have helpers at home, which is great. If your family is there, accept the help. It may not look, smell, taste, or feel like how you would do it, but at least it's done for that day. And you can worry about it in a couple of weeks once you are feeling better and your body has healed a bit more. Your meals are also important. I talk to a lot of moms and they're like, oh, I don't want to eat mtori. I don't want finger millet. I don't want, oh, it's awful. I have to eat it every day, but you need those calories, right? This is one time in life, especially for breastfeeding moms, that the calories you want to have a high calorie count. Okay. You need that energy. You need the good proteins, the high fat foods that are not fried, that are good for your breast milk and your baby's brain development, and also for your brain health in the long term. So avocado oil, coconut milk, lots of nuts and seeds are going to be really great for your breast milk quality. Okay. Soups, stews, teas, red raspberry leaf is coming up again because now the baby is born and the uterus is kind of floppy. And those of us who've given birth already, we know that kind of wiggly jiggly feeling that feels like, I don't know about this. Doesn't really feel really awesome. But the uterus should be contracting immediately after the baby is born to get the placenta out. And breastfeeding, latching your baby on right away or doing some nipple stimulation, just doing this on the nipple is going to help that uterus to start to contract, to stop the bleeding and get back down to normal size as fast as possible when you're breastfeeding and having that nipple stimulation. But those foods, those calories, the hydration, the high fat content, the protein, the leafy greens, the sweet potato, and all of the banana, those calories and the composition of those foods are going to help you to heal versus going out and having KFC or having, more than one slice of the celebratory cake. So you want to be mindful of those things. Another point I want to make is most cultures have some type of binding, right? So I know I have a West African bind that I do. I have an African American bind. I have the Malaysian bind that I do. And I know I've seen also how it's done here in Tanzania to wrap the body, wrap the abdomen. And we think of like, oh, it's to help you get your body back. It does help, right? It does help, absolutely. But really, it helps with posture because a lot of times with breastfeeding, we end up hunching over. Oh, the baby's latched on, but then you're stuck like this and you can't do anything. And who wants to be like this for 45 minutes? Nobody. So it helps to bring more support to the body with breastfeeding, but also helps the organs to kind of figure out where they need to be. It helps to expel any excess gas. And this can be done for moms who had vaginal delivery as well as C-section. Okay. It's not something that needs to be tight and worn 24 hours. You can start gradually, especially for C-section moms, a couple of hours during the day until you increase to a longer period. But it is very, very helpful. Let's see. Hydration, same thing, electrolytes, madafu, but also ginger tea, warming teas, red raspberry leaf tea as well. And then we have the sitz baths. Okay. Every family of multiple. But with the sitz baths, oh no, what happened? Hello?
You're back, Yasmin. You did drop off. No, I think she's off again.
Okay. Okay. What happened? Okay. So with the sitz baths,
we hear you.
hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry. So the sitz baths, it's helpful for the perineum. Okay. And the perineum is a part that sometimes tears or is cut during an episiotomy when a mother is in labor to make more space for the baby. There are also things that you can do prenatally and in the birth to reduce the risk of tearing or needing an episiotomy, regardless of whether it is your first baby or your fifth baby. Typically, because the body has done birth before, subsequent babies, many times moms don't kind of need that procedure or don't tear. But position plays a big role. So lying on the back, if you can help it, I would say don't do it. There are many other positions that historically, over time, humans have been birthing for eons that have been very effective for getting a baby out and mom not tearing and or needing an episiotomy. But the sitz baths are helpful for that situation, but also sometimes there can be swelling even if there is not an episiotomy or tearing. And so doing a sitz bath with witch hazel can be really helpful and soothing. A controversial point is sometimes ice packs have been recommended. I've been seeing that on Instagram and on social media that moms are making ice pads and putting in their underwear to help with the swelling. I absolutely don't recommend that. And the reason why is because your body has been generating a lot of heat during pregnancy, extra blood volume, and hormonally, there's a quick adjustment. You lose all of that heat that the body has been generating. Babies are basically like little generators in your body. They make you hot. If you've been pregnant before, you've been very hot, and especially as you get closer to the birth. And so to go from a lot of heat to a lot less heat in a short period of time, a matter of hours or days sometimes, is it's not really good to add more coolness because now the body is already cool. Remember, we're thinking about flow of energy of blood. When things get cold, they slow down and stagnate. So the sitz bath would be ideal, or a witch hazel compress, or even like aloe vera gel. Okay. And Louise will talk about the oils in a bit, but those are some of the things that would be helpful for perineum pain and healing, and for the sitz bath. What else? Let's see. I think that is, one more thing about red raspberry leaf tea. It's an all around great herb for women, anybody who has a uterus. Okay. For all the reasons, not just in the maternity period, but during menstruation. It's really great to help with bloating. It's a great source of calcium and magnesium, which is essential for the uterus. Great for helping with cramps also, but in the breastfeeding period as well. The red raspberry leaf tea is very helpful for milk production when there are challenges. So I will pass on to Louise now.
So something I just wanted to add with, the nourishing meals is these days we don't often get enough nutrition out of our food because of, the way it's farmed and all of that. And so we are needing to supplement. So I've just added the doTERRA supplement range there. It comes in a pack of 3 different bottles. And it's what you need. It's got the vitamins and the minerals, as well as omegas and antioxidants. So really a great pack. and one of our doTERRA ladies actually got the omegas tested against other omegas that she had been using. And they found that it was the doTERRA one was the only one that was not rancid, because omegas can go rancid. And doTERRA supplements are powered by essential oils, so they actually use wild orange to, let's say, maintain the lifespan of the omegas, which is incredible. Let me just go to the next slide. Okay, so then with the perineum healing as well, we use our what we call skin oils, actually. So it's frankincense, lavender, and tea tree. And what's incredible is that whether you were able to have a physiological birth or ended up having a C-section or selected to have a C-section, these 3 oils would be great for either. They are healing oils, and so you could use them on the C-section area or on the perineum for healing, and then they also double up as skin oil. So when your baby has rashes, then you use the skin spray, and it's actually the same dilution. So really great, and they also come in our top 10 kit, which I will share about just now. And then for aches and pains, your body's just been through a lot. I remember, and then as well as you now needing to feed your baby and sit in all these positions. You may be stuck in a position, as Yasmin said, and so I know I had many hip and back pains, and so the deep blue rub, and they actually have a deep blue stick which has copaiba in it as well, which is lovely for inflammation and pain. And that one you don't need to get your hands dirty, you just it's almost like this, where you or just twist up from the bottom, don't need to get your hands dirty, and you can rub it on your hips. And I used to do that before bed when I was very early postpartum. So the deep blue oil is lovely. It also comes in our top 10 kit. And then lastly, you've got Claricalm again to help tone the uterus and to help balance the hormones, which, yeah, they'll kind of touch on now or soon. Okay, Yasmin, back to you.
Okay, so you probably have noticed that there are quite a few oils that are repeating coming up, and quite a few topics, as we started out with breath work and meditation for birth, and now we're at postpartum, and we are still talking about breath and meditation. Breath is the only thing that we must do as living human beings. It's the only thing that you cannot go more than a few minutes without. Okay. If you do, you will not be okay. There will be a big problem. So when we think about breath, it is essential for our lives. But the type of breathing that we do can help or not help. So a lot of times we breathe very shallow, right? We don't take really big, extensive, deep breaths. And so breathing shallowly can actually increase our anxiety and decrease brain function. So when you are noticing that, whether you're really sleepy or you have anxiety, if you take deep breaths, it'll help really to calm your mind and calm your body. And a lot of times that can happen when we're doing something that we enjoy, right? So meditation can support that. And meditation looks different for every person. Sometimes a meditation might be, a song or a prayer that's in your head, or a verse of something, or a mantra that is being repeated, but that is calming to that person's mind, and then the body follows, and then you can go to sleep. Sometimes when we have a new baby, Again, our thoughts are sometimes racy, or we can't really settle because we're worried about, how the baby is doing. Babies are intelligent beings. They are very keen and very smart. And though they don't communicate in the languages that we communicate in, they do communicate. And so they are also reading our messages. So babies are feeding off of our energy all the time to help them to understand what they should do. And so when we're calm and we're centered and rested, then you might notice that baby is calm and centered and rested, or just kind of chill and not so fussy. Doesn't always happen exactly to a T, but I've been working with families for quite a long time, and I notice that when I have a really anxious mom who's not sleeping well, who's, you know, um, kind of busy with a lot of other stuff versus her and just the baby is also fussy. Or if she just has some anxious thoughts, the baby is also fussy and she doesn't understand. And then we have a talk, and then it's like, oh, yeah, well, I've been worried about this, that, and the other. So having meditative music on can be in the background. There's a lot of choices. It can be religious, it can be non-religious, it can just be water sounds that can help you to settle. That when it is time for you to go to sleep, or as I say, get into the horizontal, you can fall into a nice deep rest very easily. Another thing that's not on this slide actually is breastfeeding. With breastfeeding, you're releasing oxytocin 8 or more times in 24 hours. Remember, oxytocin is the hormone that gets you into your parasympathetic nervous system to rest and relax, um, especially when you get into your sweet spot of breastfeeding. The early days are kind of, they're a bit dicey. Okay, your nipples might be on fire and all of those things, but once you kind of figure out the rhythm, and then you can really start to kind of relax with it. But even if you have not figured out your rhythm with breastfeeding and, making sure the baby's latched on deeply, et cetera, your body is still releasing oxytocin. And you may find that you kind of get this little wave of like, after a little while, after the letdown and your baby's been breastfeeding 10 or 15 minutes, you might feel even drowsy. This happens with pumping as well. Okay. This does not happen when we're formula feeding. There's no, physiologic response typically when bottle feeding exclusively. But this is helpful because your body is actually setting you up for a good rest. You breastfed 20, 30, 40 minutes. You're feeling rested and restful and relaxed. Your baby is on his or her way to sleep. You do the burp, you get them down, and then you can get into the horizontal, and oxytocin has prepared you to be relaxed already, and you can take a nap. Okay. Even if it's just 1 hour, you may wake up feeling refreshed. Supplements are helpful. So back to magnesium, this shows up in the red raspberry leaf tea as well. Or you can take a magnesium supplement. Postnatal vitamins. So some moms continue to take their prenatal vitamins, and other moms choose to get a postnatal vitamin specifically to take after, which, as Louise mentioned, our food is not as nutritionally dense as it was 20 years ago, 40 years ago. So we do need to have supplemental nutrition in order to meet our nutritional needs, and especially with pregnancy and postpartum, because you are feeding another human being. Okay. In order to make the amount of milk that your baby needs, sleep, rest, as well as your nutrition and hydration are key components. If you're not resting enough, your cortisol levels are going to be remaining high, and it's going to be kind of like a competition between your hormones for milk making and stress. Okay. So these are just some tips on things that you can do to help with a good rest. Again, you won't be sleeping 8 hours for a long time, 8 hours straight, I'll say. You might get 8 hours, 3 and 2 and 3 and 2, something like that. But when you when you're breastfeeding, you actually have a deeper rest because of all of that oxytocin that you've released. Okay, so the 8 hours will come, just not all together. And there was one more point I wanted to make. Okay, maybe I'll remember later.
Okay, so onto the oils. What's lovely that goes in hand with what Yasmin said about having maybe background music, just to really set the mood and become calm. Having oils in a diffuser is really complementary with this. And as I explained, the oils work directly with your brain to calm your nervous system. So lovely oils for both yourself and for the newborn baby is lavender and frankincense. They're great for sleep. So you can have that in your diffuser, and you can make a roller to apply to your feet and your spine, and you can also apply to baby. And then another lovely oil, I'm sure many of you know, for sleep is Roman chamomile. I actually happen to have it during that period of postpartum. And it was a lovely one, really got me feeling at rest, very calm and at peace. And also, yeah, it's a lovely skin oil for baby as well. And then doTERRA has a blend called Serenity, which is actually the sleep blend, or the restful blend. They've got a system actually. So you've got the Serenity oil, which you can put in your diffuser and or apply to the body, both for yourself and for baby. Just remember about diluting. Then we've got the Serenity soft gels, and I've actually been recently taking them and finding my sleep has greatly improved. It helps with your sleep cycles. And then you've got the Serenity Sleep Stick, which is really lovely for a newborn baby. That has valerian in it, which is also great for sleep. And that's this one where you don't need to get your hands dirty at all either. And then you can apply to the soles of the feet and to the spine. Really lovely oils in Serenity, including in this Roman chamomile in here, lavender, as well as vetiver, which is a great sleep oil. Okay, then we're on to emotions. I'm just cognizant of time, Yasmin, so maybe we need to try and speed up a little bit.
Okay, yes, absolutely. So can you move to the next slide? Can you hear me?
It's showing on
Louise?
my side. It's showing on my side. It's on emotions,
Okay, I
into
don't know.
skin
Let me
and
see.
boundaries. I see Yasmin has left. Oh, there we go. She's rejoined.
Oh,
Yasmin, are you there?
okay. So yes, I'm here. I can see it now. Thank you. So, emotions, these hormones are really all over the place. It's a roller coaster ride in the postpartum, especially the first couple of days. So, excuse me, many times we're feeling very overwhelmed, even shocked. Sometimes I've seen moms immediately after birth. It's like, we're in shock, like, oh my God, wow, like this is your first time seeing your baby, holding your baby. And it's a big emotion. It is a big moment of like, oh my gosh, what should I feel? Like I'm so happy, but I'm like teary, and I'm maybe in a little bit of pain, and I'm looking at my partner. There's so many things going on. And so I think we must give ourselves grace, that this was a big feat, a big transition, a big transformative experience, becoming a mother, being pregnant, and then suddenly not being pregnant after a number of hours, and having a new human being that we're completely responsible for all facets of their life. It is a big, it's a big deal. It's a big task to take on, a big responsibility. And I think currently many moms, my observation is many moms are feeling that, but then society kind of makes us feel like, oh, it is normal, but that it's not a big deal. Like it's like, oh, okay, great, next. And I feel like in traditional societies, indigenous societies, and for eons, we've had this special period of 40 days where we're being taken care of and nurtured so that our mind, body, and soul can calibrate and adjust and normalize this process of becoming a mother. Because physically, we've been a mother since conception. We've had to make some changes, introduce some things, take out some things. But now it is on all levels. Yes, we are a mother, and we need time and space to make those adjustments. And the emotions that come along with that. Because the first couple of days, you're feeling all over the place. And usually by 2 weeks, those baby blues of feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, happy, teary, cranky, moody, they typically fade. But sometimes around 2 weeks, if it hasn't faded, if it hasn't kind of settled and you feel a little bit more stable with your mood, then it might be something else. It could be anxiety, it could be depression. And a lot of times we don't realize that, one, if we had any kind of mood disorder going on, diagnosed or undiagnosed prior to pregnancy, that can increase the risk of having any type of postpartum mood disorder, whether anxiety or depression, but also the overwhelm of trying to do everything is also a major factor in today's society. I am from the US, and so I remember my friends, my West African friends, having their babies, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and their moms coming and staying 6 months, 3 months, a year even, okay, to do everything, cooking, cleaning, caring for the other children, um, you know, wrapping the belly, doing massage, doing everything. So the mom really could just focus on figuring out her healing, eating, sleeping, and eliminating, just like her baby is doing, but also getting to know her baby. And having that kind of support, regardless of how long it is, having that kind of transition buffer is very, very important to the emotional transitions of the postpartum. One thing that can help, just regardless of what is going on, is the skin to skin. Skin to skin is key. It is like skin to skin is the next best thing to breastfeeding. It helps to, again, release oxytocin. It's bonding. It also helps the baby to stay calm because your baby is now in a space where he or she can hear your heart beating, feel you breathing, smell you, see you, even though it's a little blurry. But if they're in a bassinet or in a sleeper or whatever these different apparatuses are that we use now, they can't have that experience and they're going to be fussy. So one thing that I ask all of my clients is, what would you do if you came home and your husband is like, he's moving next door? And they're like, I'm going to say, well, what do you mean? Why? Well, I'm going to. I said, that's how your baby feels. When you stick your baby in a different room with a monitor and all of these things, your baby feels like, what the heck? I was just comfy cozy. And now I'm in this foreign place. Nothing feels familiar. But when we're doing skin to skin, everything is familiar. Everything reminds your baby of home. Your heart beating, your laughter, your voice, your scent, which, again, we're so beautifully designed. Your amniotic fluid and your Montgomery glands, which are those little raised little maybe glands on your areola of your breast, emit the same, have the same smell. because at birth and for some weeks, your baby has very poor vision, but smell is the strongest sense that newborns have. So skin to skin with your baby is just like, I mean, it's everything. I'll just say that it's everything. And smelling your baby and your baby smelling you, not me, sorry. Your baby smelling you and being right there close to you is reassuring for you that, oh, my baby is okay. I can be okay too, right? And then also boundaries, having boundaries. We all have in-laws or even folks in our families that will just pop up or have all the commentary about what we're doing wrong and what they did and how it was and, oh, what is that? Some of that is helpful if it's presented in a good way, but some of that is not helpful. And so I'm always like, if you need to use breastfeeding as a getaway plan, as an escape, Aunt so and so comes over with all of her opinions and her criticisms, and you can just, oh, okay, I'll be out in a bit. I'm breastfeeding the baby and just be in there until she leaves or whoever it is. One thing that I think is important when and where possible is to try to stagger guests, visitors. Every culture is different. Some places it's like, no, the whole family's coming over on day 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to be exhausted those 3 days. But then after that, you can stagger the guests. And other cultures are like, people are going to come or maybe not, but you can stagger, meaning if your mom is going to be there the first 2 weeks, maybe seeing if your mother-in-law can come, a couple of days, give your mom a break to do some things that she needs to do. And your sister maybe can come, the following weeks after the 2 of them go, or whatever the situation is that you have arranged, so that you don't have 50 people in your face telling you 50 different things at the same time and then get overwhelmed, because that can take you into an emotional space that you may not want to be in. Let's see. Yeah. So boundaries are important, even when it is like, okay, I need a moment, and you have to and should pass your baby to your partner, another relative, so that you can go on a walk by yourself and just have your own thoughts. I do this now, and my kids are old. I'm like, you know what, guys? I'm leaving because I need to go outside and go on a walk because it's a lot of energy in here and I might go crazy this week. Um, so it's important to be able to have a space. It might just be going in the bathroom for 10 or 15 minutes because it's just like, okay, I need a moment. Going on your balcony or calling a girlfriend or calling your mom. Having spaces that feel safe and calm and supportive, even when you have a supportive and calm family. Being a new mom can be quite overwhelming. Okay, so I'll move on with that. Louise?
I'm here. Just going to the next slide.
Okay.
Thank you. Your wisdom is always so great, Yasmin. I don't know how to get rid of this silly thing. Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, oils for the emotions, and those who are mothers already and have experienced the roller coaster ride of emotions right after birth. Yeah, these oils are really, really supportive for that time. And wow, they've been, I think for me, it's been my favorite part. So I still say I'm in postpartum and my daughter's almost 3. And I turn to my oils for my emotions so much. So again, lavender is so calming, and that is just my go-to. Even if I don't know what I want to feel like that day, I usually put lavender on. They come in, these lovely touch rollers too. So the touch rollers are pre-diluted, but otherwise you can inhale it straight from the bottle, or we make our own rollers. So this 15 ml bottle has about or more than 250 drops in it. And depending on your age, or if it's for a baby, or if you're pregnant, We use different dilutions, but yeah, I guess so. For a newborn, you'd actually use 1 drop of lavender in a 10 ml roller, whereas for yourself, you might use 20 drops, for example. But so it really lasts long. Then there's Claricalm again, which is not only for balancing the hormones, great for that time, but also really, really calming. And I've grown to love the Claricalm. I use it daily. And then you've got Adaptive again. You've just been through this massive transition, or you're still going through it. So it's really great for, again, your postpartum. And you also get the Adaptive capsules, which I forgot to put on here. Really great for helping like stabilize the mood, and many I've heard great results taking the Serenity capsules, which is mainly for sleep, but a lot of postpartum moms have used that to help be calm, or become calm during the day. I didn't have them during that time, so I haven't used them for that. But yeah, have heard great results for that. And then as well as Copaiba, which is just really a lovely calming oil. So those are the soft gels. You can also get the oil version and put it under your tongue, which I often do before sleep. And then you've got grounding oils like the frankincense, which is again in the top 10. Frankincense is the king of oils. And then you've got balance again, which I spoke about before, and lovely for grounding. And then for uplifting, maybe you're feeling a bit down and in a bit of a slump. Our emotions can really be all over the place. And so these oils can help in different ways. So if you're needing a bit to uplift your mood, bergamot is great, or citrus bliss. And that's actually, citrus bliss is the oil that you get free if you are to buy the top 10 kit. So it's a great free oil to have. Okay, and then lastly is the newborn care. And then
Okay, so for newborn care, I'll just talk a little bit about skin and newborn presentation. So babies come out looking all kind of interesting. Sometimes they get a little acne in the first couple of days, or milia actually, which are these little white bumps. They'll get baby acne usually around 4 or 5 weeks, just when you feel like you're ready to show them off or do newborn pictures or something like that. And all of these things are normal, including cradle cap and them peeling. They'll be peeling in the first couple of weeks because their body is adjusting to being in this new environment. They have been for the longest of time in utero, inside of your body, with a layer of Vernex on them, to help protect their skin from that environment so they don't turn into little raisins, like when you go swimming or you're in the bath a long time and your fingers get little raisiny. The Vernex is a wonderful, highly moisturizing like cream that's on their body. So you'll see that whiteness when they're born. And so when that is washed off, which I personally don't recommend immediate baths for babies for up to a week. If people feel comfortable with 2 weeks, even then, because remember I mentioned the scent of the mother, the amniotic fluid is the same scent that is emitted from the Montgomery glands on the breast, tells your baby that this is my mother. I know what she smells like. I'm supposed to be here. I'm comforted by this smell as the strongest sense. And so washing that off very early, I don't find it beneficial to the baby and the mom bonding. But also washing it off exposes them prematurely to our environment. The Vernix is helpful. It's a moisturizer. But when it does come off or it's washed off, I highly recommend daily massages for newborns. I think I massaged my first son until he was 4, practically every day after a bath. But as a newborn, they're not actually dirty. They've been in a sterile environment. The amniotic fluid is sterile. And so they're not dirty, so they don't need to be washed every single day, maybe every 2 to 3 days. But every day I would recommend a massage with a natural oil. Coconut oil is very accessible here. Olive oil, grapeseed oil, shea butter, almond blackia, so many different natural moisturizers here that are available so that you're supporting your baby's skin, supporting circulation. As Louise mentioned, you can put a drop of lavender, literally just one drop, and do that massage, especially, before bedtime or a nap or something like that to help your baby to sleep. Um, what else? Newborn skin. Yeah, cradle cap. Something else that's natural and normal. It's not really something that you have to do something about. A lot of times I notice that when there is something done about cradle cap, it actually gets worse. It's also just another skin thing where your baby's body is adjusting to being here. Breastfeeding is a topic within itself, so I'll be quick. I can talk about breastfeeding all the days of my life. But I will give you my top 5 ways to know a baby is doing fairly well. Okay, not A+ stars, but also not an F. And this is a duo. This is mom and baby. Okay. Baby should be going to the breast at least 8 times in 24 hours, 8 or more. And the more is taking into account a growth spurts, which happen every 3 weeks. The first one is on night 2. The next one is somewhere between day 7 and day 10. And then it's every 3 weeks up until the first 3 months. After that, it's every 3 months up to the first year, which means that's the and more. Okay. That's the 12, 13, 14 times in 24 hours. Doesn't last forever. It's just 2 or 3 days for 2 or 3 hours, maximum about 5 hours, and then they're back to normal. Feeding every 3 hours, okay? Newborns need to be feeding every 3 hours, not every 4 hours, especially in the first 2 weeks.
We may have lost Yasmin. Yasmin? Or is it me? Anyone? We've lost Yasmin. Okay. I think while she comes back on, I might just quickly go over the oils for newborn care, and then Yasmin can quickly finish what she was saying. So with regards to oils for newborn, yeah, there's not much you need for a newborn other than the mom and skin to skin. Hi Yasmin, I'm just going over the oils and then you can finish your part. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, sure.
So again, for skin, if the baby does have rashes from nappies, then lavender, frankincense, and tea tree is the skin oils. I used that. I mean, Leah didn't get many rashes, but when she did, it worked incredibly well within 1 or 2 uses, and it was gone. Then for sleep and calm, again, I've mentioned lavender, frankincense, Roman chamomile, serenity are lovely oils. And what I love about using the oils for sleep, and as Yasmin said, with like massage, is to really get into that routine. And our brains remember scent. So I'm sure you have smells that trigger memories for you. And so if you consistently use lavender for your baby's sleep routine, it has a lovely, baby will think of sleep, or it will start, its body will be like, okay, it's time for sleep now, when it smells that scent. And then for immunity, if there are viruses going around and you don't want baby to get sick, you can use the On Guard blend proactively. And then when a baby or when we are sick, we use flute, which is, so we blend the 5 oils: frankincense, lemon, on guards, then unity blend oregano and tea tree. And that's really great to help the body fight whatever it's dealing with. And then jaundice. So it's great for baby to get early morning sun, not midday sun, but to help prevent jaundice, skin to skin and sun. But if your baby does have jaundice, then geranium oil is really great under the soles of the feet. And then if baby is having digestive issues, reflux, then we've got the Zengest blend, which is lovely. So you can either use lavender or you can use Zengest for to do that I think it's ILU shape on the baby's tummy, to help with the the metabolic system there. And then respiratory support is our breed blend, also in the top 10. So if baby is congested, you can have breathe in the diffuser, or very much diluted. Put if baby's got a cough, you can put the breathe blend, diluted with some coconut oil on its chest and even under the feet as well. Yeah, there are various ways, like there's teething oils as well: lavender, frankincense, copaiba, great for teething, where we make a teething roller and we roll it on the baby's jaw. Yeah, various oils to support with various things, like cradle cap that Yasmin mentioned. So I've really just touched on the basics here. I'm just going to go back for Yasmin to finish on breastfeeding, and then we're almost done.
Okay, thank you. So I was doing my top 5, right? So baby going to the breast at least 8 times in 24 hours. Baby, and that coincides with the every 3 hours that I want to just touch on. When you have a newborn, especially within the first 2 weeks, the baby should see the pediatrician, obviously at birth, and then typically around maybe 2 to 3 days after birth. And then again around 2 weeks, because when you get that weight check at 2 weeks, you'll get an idea of how your baby is doing with feeding, how your milk supply is doing, etc. When it's a long period of time, like 6 weeks, a lot can happen in 6 weeks, okay? Especially around milk supply and feeding. And typically around 6 to 8 weeks, if we wait until that long to start getting help for feeding challenges, mom's milk supply kind of has regulated or is starting to regulate at that point, meaning for 6 weeks it's been calculating, what are we doing? Okay, how much milk do we need? How often is baby drinking? Okay, I've come up with this number of how much milk, this volume, how much volume the baby needs in a 24-hour period. Meanwhile, there have been challenges. So you really want to, if you notice something early, do something about it early. It's better to get reassurance that, oh, everything is good, as well as get some anticipatory advice from a lactation consultant, than to wait until it becomes something really, really huge and big, like mastitis, or the milk supply has completely tanked, or the baby won't latch onto the breast for whatever myriad of reasons. So, okay. Going to the breast at least 8 times in 24 hours. Baby is sleeping 2 to 3 hours at a time, because if your baby is well fed, he or she should be able to sleep 2 to 3 hours at a time, without, feeding, waking up at an hour or an hour and a half, unless they're having a growth spurt. And then wet and dirty diapers after day 5 should be 5 or more wets and 5 or more dirties. This is one of the best visual indications, because everyone wants to know, well, if I'm bottle feeding, I can see my baby's taking 2 ounces, but how do I know how much my baby's taking with breastfeeding? You might not know the volume, but these are some key indicators to let you know that, okay, my baby is doing fairly well. Okay, if your baby is pooping and peeing 5 or more times in 24 hours and the poop is yellow, okay, and the urine is clear to maybe slightly yellow, they're doing all right. That means what's going in is coming out, Okay, so sleeping 2 to 3 hours, enough wet and dirty diapers, 5 or more of each, at the breast, at least to start, I would say about 15 minutes each breast. Okay, now there's a caveat. 15 minutes your baby was eating. You can literally lie up with your baby all day and your baby's mouth can be on your breast, but it does not mean that the baby is actually transferring milk. So you need to also know what it looks like for your baby to be transferring milk. You need to be hearing and or seeing swallows. Your baby will be alert at the breast. You'll see the jaw moving deeply, right? The chin dropping deeply. And then typically around somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes, you'll notice your baby get a little drowsy. You may do some breast compressions to send a little bit more milk. They may start sucking again and then kind of relax. And you start to notice, oh, okay, my baby is not as responsive, not as alert. Oh, they as alert. He or she may feel very relaxed and kind of feeling like dead weight at that point. They're not actively feeding anymore. That also can happen in the first 5 minutes. And if that happens in the first 5 minutes, there's a milk transfer issue, especially if baby is up within an hour. Okay. They're saying, I got a little bit, that was a nice snack, but I need a little bit more. So going to the breast 8 to 10 times or more in 24 hours, sleeping 2 to 3 hours at a time, wet and dirty diapers are sufficient, 5 or more of each. Being at the breast, about 15 minutes each breast. And I would recommend going on for 3 rounds. Breast 1, burp, breast 2, burp. Take a pause, maybe 5 minutes. You go to the bathroom, have something to drink or eat, and then come back. You might notice your baby is farting, sneezing, hiccuping, coughing. They're releasing air so that they're not cranky later. And then start showing signs of hunger again. You put the baby breast to the breast again for the third time. Okay, this will help to ensure that your baby has enough milk, more so than just 2 times, one on each breast. Okay, and the last one is your pain. The fifth one is your pain. Your pain should be low. Pain is like 1 is like there's no pain. 3 is uncomfortable. Your pain should be at a 3 or below when your baby's at the breast. If you are experiencing something more than discomfort, that means that there is an issue. Baby's not latched on well, the position is not sufficient, or something to that effect. And it needs to be addressed sooner than later because there are greater implications than just having pain in that one feeding. Okay. I will leave breastfeeding there because, yes, we are by far out of time and beyond. So let me just move on. We'll be in touch with you guys, but Louise, you can pick up now.
Great, thanks, Yasmin. Sorry if you hear my background noise. I just wanted to add that doTERRA also has these lovely kids rollers. This one's called Karma, with a lovely symbol of the brain there. If you say it's a lovely, like brain support oil for calming. These are pre-diluted for kids, usually from a year up, diluted for a year up. So you just put a little bit more carrier oil before applying it for a newborn. So for those moms who are don't want to be making your own rollers and things, the kids kit is lovely for that. Yeah, so you may be wondering how you can get oils, or if you have doTERRA oils, how do you know how to dilute them properly? So let's start on how to get oils. You can buy retail off the doTERRA website, but we do not recommend that because that's retail price. So you can become a member and then pay wholesale price. So that's 25% off retail price. And you can shop when you want. There's no requirement. You just can enroll and shop at wholesale as and when you wish. And then the best way to start, which is what we recommend, is to enroll with a kit, because they're not only wholesale, they're actually below wholesale. And I'll show you what that means with this example. So this is on the left. sorry, let me just go back there. So these are the top 10 oils on the left. These are the retail prices. And then compared to the wholesale prices, if you look at the retail value of the kit versus the wholesale value, or here the Tanzanian prices, you can see it's a big saving. And then actually the kit is at a reduced price over there. And then for this month of April, they are also 20% off. So it is the best month to start. And yeah, so it's just under 4,000 Rand for Tanzanian shillings. It's 560,000 for this month. And what you get for this is the top 10 oils. So I mentioned many of them in the session, as well as the diffuser. And then to support your journey, when you enroll, we gift you a ready to roll kit. So some rollers, a balm jar, a spray bottle, some fractionated coconut oil, which is coconut oil in its liquid state. And that just helps you get going with your oils. You also become part of our community. And this is really where your knowledge of essential oils will grow like tenfold. You'll be on whether you want to join the WhatsApp group or the Telegram group, or just be part of our hub. And this is the picture on the right. Sorry, Leah, my angel, not that. Okay. So the hub is where all our resources are, our past classes, the cheat sheets, the blends. You can Google like skin, rash, immunity, whatever you're looking for, calm, emotions, and the resources that are on the hub will come up. And then there's also the chat function. So you can just ask your question. My little one's dealing with this, or I'm dealing with this. Please help. And there'll be someone there to say, use these oils. Why the home essentials or the family essentials? These are the top 10, the two kits with the top 10 oils. So you've got the home essentials, which is the bigger kit. Then they come in 15 more bottles. Or you've got the family essentials kit, which is in 5 more bottles. Cost-wise, the home essentials is more cost-effective, like cents per drop or shillings per drop, more cost-effective. But we know there's often budgets that apply, and so the smaller kit may be better. And they both come with a diffuser, which is really great to help, the mood as well as sleep or respiratory issues. So you can see all the, we'll be in touch with you and share this with you. And you can see on the visual what all the top 10 oils help with. So they are really versatile, and they're called the top 10 for a reason, because you are able to almost sort out any issue with these top 10 oils. So they are the best place to start. Or you can start slowly. So on the right here, this is the beginner's essential kit. If you love the deep blue rubs or the sore body aches, you've also got like lavender, balance, copaiba, wild orange, on guard. So for immunity, sleep, pain, grounding blend, they're all in that kit. So you could start with this one, or you can just choose 3 or 4 oils. Here's an example where you're going to get immunity support, sleep support, pain relief, hormone balance, oxytocin, as well as the citrus blissful free, which is lovely for the mood and uplifting. So there are various ways to start according to your needs and your budget. And I just wanted to go back and add that here the citrus bliss is also for free this month, on top of the kit, this kit, both these kits, sorry, being 20% off this month. So that's it. Thank you for being with us. I do need to hop off right now because I've got another call in 5 minutes. So I don't know if Yasmin wants to stay on for any questions. I'm going to say
if anybody
goodbye.
has any questions, you can type them in the chat, or just unmute yourself. You can do that. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. about the oils
Okay,
or
I'm
any
going to
other
say goodbye, Yasmin.
associations. Thank you so
I need
much,
to run.
Louise. Thank you for
Thank you.
being
And thanks
on. This
to
was great.
everyone for joining. Thanks,
Yes.
Yasmin.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Does anybody have questions? Joseph, you have a question? Yes. Uh-oh, Joseph, hello?
Yes, Yasmin.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for a good presentation. I'm
Oh, thank
interested to
you.
have
Thank
those
you.
all packages. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. We would love to share
Because
them with you.
I have my patient from all about. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll be in touch. I will definitely reach out to you about the packages. Which one are you interested in?
The whole package sells. I think it is the best.
Okay, the enrollment kit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. I'll reach out to you and we can talk a little bit more about which is going to be the best one because there are several. There's all the ones that she talked about. And so the top 10 kit would absolutely be the ideal one. There's one that
Okay.
has 15 milliliters of oils that comes with the diffuser. So you can also just have
Yeah.
the diffuser running in your office as well.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I will send you a message
Thank you.
and we can talk more in detail. Does anybody else
Okay.
have other questions or comments
Yeah. Thank you.
about the workshop? Thank you so much, Joseph.
Hi, Yasmin, I just added a question in the chat.
Oh, did you? Okay, let me check it. Okay. Baby had jaundice at birth and had to do phototherapy for 3 days. At 3 days old, I gave birth. Oh, 3 days at 3 days old. I gave birth via C-section and baby was so sleepy all the time and didn't suckle much. He was given formula while I lied down for 8 hours post-surgery and then latched. I just want to know what I can do differently next time as I'll likely have another C-section. Okay, this is a really great question. So yeah, sometimes there is a delay with breastfeeding with a C-section delivery. I actually have a whole like C-section preparation guide that I give to my clients or for moms who know that they're going to have a C-section like yourself that you can get access to. Some of the things that I recommend is if you are not at risk for preterm labor, you can start doing, oh my gosh, colostrum harvesting, which is expressing milk from your breast and storing it, freezing it, and then you can take that to the hospital so that your baby can have your colostrum right away, since you know that you will likely have a C-section. Even if they're not latching onto the breast, that colostrum is going to be very beneficial, not just for those immediate feedings, but for long term, because the gut of your baby is sterile at birth. Just like I mentioned, the amniotic fluid is sterile. And so the colostrum being the first food is going to give your baby good gut flora and build the immune system versus having formula. And so you can do that colostrum harvesting, but also sometimes, well, no, not sometimes, all the time, jaundice affects feeding and babies being drowsy. What jaundice is a residual amount of bilirubin, which is extra red blood cells in the bloodstream that the baby does not need anymore. So remember earlier we talked about, oh, mom is producing much more blood volume. Mom and baby are connected. And so that circulation that mom has of higher blood volume is also going to and through the baby, through the placenta. And so once the baby is born, the baby does not need all of that blood volume. And feeding often, very often, whether breast milk or formula, but feeding very often is going to be what helps to get that excess bilirubin out of the baby's system. And so it kind of gets a little tricky because when you have a baby who has jaundice, they're super sleepy, right? So that's why I was saying the express colostrum that you have is going to be really helpful to your baby getting energy, because if they're not feeding very often or not feeding very well, then they don't ever even have the energy to do more feeding, which is actually what they need to do. Let's see what else. And also, so you'll have the colostrum if you're able to do colostrum harvesting, but also immediately after I have my clients, I go there and I massage their breast to stimulate the milk coming out, and we harvest colostrum there even while she's lying in recovery. Usually for me, it's maybe, I think this last time that baby had to go to NICU for observation. So that can also affect breastfeeding, just depending on what hospital you're at, whether they're going to be bringing the baby to you for feeding time or not. And so at least if you, your partner, or if you have a doula with you, massaging your breasts, collecting the colostrum to go and feed it to your baby by syringe is absolutely helpful for both your milk production, but also for your baby's feeding and helping to get the bilirubin out. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Anyone else have a question or comment? Feel free to ask any questions that you have, or if you have a comment or an experience that you'd like to share, we're happy to hear. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. We will be in touch with you just to say thank you for coming. We went over time, and I really, really appreciate all of you who stayed on, especially Kabula. I know you were like one of the first ones to stay on, to sign on. So absolutely appreciate your time, and sorry we went over. This was our first time doing this particular workshop. But we are so happy to have you all and to be able to share this information. And hopefully you'll be, responding as we get in touch to you about how the oils can help you, your family, your clients, and patients. You guys have a wonderful day, and thank you so very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Yasmin. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.